here. Okay, sunlight. Okay, sunlight. So, I'm gonna. It'd be kind of rude. It's weird to say hello, but it's weird to not say hello because that's rude. But there's nobody on here, and nobody really knows I'm doing this again. So, hello to me. You know, I'm only trying to talk to myself. So, anyway, in case somebody does watch this, I was reading the Bible one chapter at a time, and then I just stopped, question mark. And then depression tried to get me. And then I really didn't feel like doing anything. And so now we're back. I got a new Bible. My godmom got me an amplified Bible, which I love. The amplified version because it just gives details, which we love. So I'm gonna pick up from where I was, and I don't know if I'm gonna do chapter by chapter, but we're just gonna read until we stop. So, Lord, I just pray that you just be in this room. I pray that you just be in this midst, Lord. I pray that my roommates don't come home right now. And I just pray that you just open up my eyes and my ears to hear and see your word in a different way. You hear me pray? Amen. All right. So we are in Genesis chapter 5. So it says, this is the book, the written record, the history of the generations of the offspring of Adam. When God created man, he made him in the likeness of God. He created them male and female and blessed them and named them both Adam the man, and named them both Adam the man at the time they were created. When Adam had lived 130 years, he had a son in his own likeness. So the likeness goes from the likeness of God to his own likeness. So we see the shift from humans being in the likeness of the Lord, and then humans being in the likeness of others, which we saw with sin. Anyway, it says, when Adam lived 130 years, he had a son in his own likeness after his image, and he named him Seth. After he had Seth, Adam lived 800 years and had other sons and daughters. So altogether, Adam lived 930 years, and he died. When Seth was 105 years old, Enosh was born. Seth lived after the birth of Enosh 807 years and had other sons and daughters. So Seth lived 912 years and he died. When Enosh was 90 years old, Kenan was born to him. Enosh lived after the birth of Kenan 815 years and had other sons and daughters. So Enosh lived 905 years and he died. When Kenan was 70 years old, Mahalalel was born, and he lived an additional 840 years. So then Kenan lived 910 years, and he died. When Mahalalel was 65 years old, Jared was born, and Mahalalel lived 830 years and had other sons and daughters. So Mahalalel lived 895 years, and he died. When Jared was 162 years old, Enoch was born. Jared lived after the birth of Enoch 800 years and had other sons and daughters. So Jared lived 962 years and he died. When Enoch was 65 years old, Methuselah was born. Enoch walked in habitual fellowship with God after the birth of Methuselah 300 years and had other sons and daughters. So all the days of Enoch were 365 years. And Enoch walked in habitual fellowship with God, and he was not, for God took him home with him. So he didn't die because the Lord took him. When Methuselah was 187 years, Lamech was born to him. Methuselah lived after the birth of Lamech 782 years and had other sons and daughters. So Methuselah lived 969 years when he died. When Lamech was 182 years old, his son was born. His son's name was Noah, saying, "This one shall bring us relief and comfort from our work and the grievous toil of our hands due to the ground being cursed by the Lord." Lamech lived after the birth of Noah 595 years and had other sons and daughters. So all the days of Lamech were 777 777 years, and he died. After Noah was 500 years old, he became the father of Shem, Ham, and Japheth. So, when I read genealogies, I read them as like showing the importance of like the what is it? The history of like a family. A lot of people talk about like history and how things are passed on. And so this genealogy is showing how Adam is connected to Noah. Noah is an important character if you don't know, because he's going to do a lot of good things coming up. But I always think that it's important to actually read genealogies to see how people are connected, not only from bloodline, but also like seeing where people have moved from. So, chapter 6. When men began to multiply on the face of the earth, the face of the land, daughters were born to them. The sons of God saw that the daughters of men were fair, and they took wives of all that they desired and chose them. So, the sons of God are angels. So this is where we see like Satan and all that. Like all angels aren't good angels, and Satan was an angel before. So this is where we see humans being created with angels, like sons of God, which is not good. Then the Lord said, "My spirit shall not forever dwell and strive with man, for he is also flesh, but his days shall yet be 120 years." So now he's shortening how long they're going to live. There were giants on the earth in those days because of the angels and the humans, and also afterwards. When the sons of God lived with the daughters of men, they bore children to them. These were the mighty men who were of old, men of renown. The Lord saw that there was wickedness of man, that the wickedness of man was great in the earth, and that every imagination and intention of all human thinking was only evil continually. And the Lord regretted that he had made man on earth, and he was grieved at the heart. So the Lord said, "I will destroy, blot out, and wipe away mankind, whom I created from the face of the ground, not only man, but beasts and creeping things and the birds of the air, for it grieves me and makes me regretful that I have made them." But Noah found favor in the eyes of the Lord. This is the history of the generations of Noah. Noah was a just and righteous, blameless. Noah was just and a righteous man, blameless in his generation. And it says in his evil generation. Noah walked in habitual fellowship with God. And Noah became the father of 3 sons, Shem, Ham, and Japheth. The earth was depraved and putrid in God's sight, and the land was filled with violence, desecration, infringement, outrage, assault, lust, and lust for power. God looked upon the world and saw how degenerate, biased, and vicious it was, for all humanity had corrupted their own way to the earth, and it lost its true direction. Oh, this is so much different than what I normally read. God said to Noah, "I intend to make an end of all flesh, for through man the land is filled with violence, and behold, I will destroy them and the land. Make yourself an ark of gopher or cypress wood, make it in rooms, stalls, pens, coops, nests, cages, and compartments, and cover it inside with pitch. And this is the way you are to make it. The length of the ark shall be 300 cubits, and its breadth 50 cubits, and its height 30 cubits, which is 450 feet times 75 feet times 45 feet. And you shall make a and you shall make a roof or window, a place for light for the ark, and finish it to a cubit, at least 18 inches, above the door of the ark, and you shall put in the side of it, and you shall make it lower, second, and third story. So it's saying 3 different stories. For behold, even I, will bring a flood of waters upon the earth to destroy it and make putrid all flesh under the heavens, in which are breath and spirit of life. Everything that is on the land shall die. But I will establish my covenant, which is a promise or a pledge with you, and you shall come into the ark, and you and your sons and your wives and your sons' wives with you. And every living thing on the of flesh found on land, you shall bring two of every sort into the ark, and keep them alive with you. They shall be male and female, of fowls and birds according to their kinds, of beasts according to their kinds, of every creeping thing on the ground according to its kind. Two of every sort shall come in with you, and they shall be kept alive. Also take with you every sort of food that is eaten, and you shall collect and store it, and it shall serve you for food and for them. Noah did this, and he did all that God had commanded him. So, one thing that I want to make a note of is that first off, the Lord has feelings. That's number one. Second off, it shows that the Lord will destroy things that are corrupt, even though he planned for things to be good. So he planned for the world to be good. He planned for Adam and Eve to be good, to not experience evil or to not even know what bad is. But because of the sin and the continuous of sin, we see the Lord being willing to destroy what he actually created because he desires for things to be good. Another thing that I wanted to point out is that in verse 18 of chapter 6, it says, I will establish my covenant, which is a promise or a pledge. And so one of the things that's been really interesting in this world is that a lot of people will use the word God, but don't use Jesus. A lot of people talk about God this and God this. And people talk about like the universe and the creator. And I'll be thinking about the Lord, like God, the Father of Jesus. But there's only one truth. And the reason why I think it's important to point out the covenant, which is the promise or the pledge, is that some people live by the Old Testament. I think it's important to read the Old Testament, but this is the Old Testament because it's the old promise, the old pledge, compared to the New Testament, which has Jesus Christ into it. So be very careful of the people who try to tell you that Jesus has nothing to do with God, or people who just throw around the word God but don't include Jesus. One other thing that I thought was interesting is it's important to know that God can tell you about something that's coming up. God can warn you. God can, provide for you. But it is our job to prepare. So the Lord says in verse 21, also take with you every sort of food that is eaten, and you shall collect and store it up, and it shall serve as food for you and for them. So if Noah just builds the ark and then gets on it with all the animals without having food and without storing food, which means that he has to have like discipline and control of like how much food everybody's eating and not overeating, and they would die. So just because God blesses you with something, you still have to prepare to walk into it and to be able to withstand storms. Wow, that was good. And to withstand storms, yeah. We got to be able to have enough food and preparation to withstand not only storms, but also like the blessings that God has. Because Noah still has to go through a storm. And we're going to see that. Like Noah still has to go through a flood. He still has to go through a hard time. But he has protection with the ark. He has relationships with his family. He has, the animals, stuff he's going to save. But also he has nourishment to get through it. Oh, this is good. He has nourishment to get through it. Okay, I like that. All right, I'm going to read chapter 7 because I'm starting to get a little excited. And the Lord said to Noah, Come with all your household into the ark, for I have seen you to be righteous, upright, and in right standing. Noah's family got saved because of him, which means that your family could get saved because of you. Before me in this generation. Of every clean beast you shall receive, and take with you 7 pairs, the male and his mate, and the beasts that are not clean of each kind, the male and its mate. Also of the birds of the air, 7 pair, the male and the female, to keep their kind alive over all the earth. For in 7 days I will cause it to rain on the earth for 40 days and for 40 nights, and every living substance and thing that I have made I will destroy, blot out, and wipe away from the face of the earth. And Noah did all that the Lord commanded him. Noah was 600 years old when the flood waters came upon the earth. And Noah and his sons and his wives and his sons' wives were with him and went into the ark because of the waters of the flood. Of clean animals and of animals that are not clean, and of birds and fowls and everything that creeps on the ground, they went in 2 by 2 with Noah into the ark, the male and the female, as God had commanded Noah. Which is interesting because when do you ever see a whole bunch of animals together going in 2 by 2? That's the Lord. And after 7 days, the flood waters came upon the earth. And in the year 600 of Noah's life, the 70th day of the second month, that same day, all the fountains of the great deep were broken up and burst forth, and the windows and the floodgates of heavens were opened. And it rained upon the earth for 40 days and for 40 nights. On the same day, Noah, Shem, Ham, and Japheth, the sons of Noah, Noah's wife, and the 3 wives of his sons were with them, and they went into the ark. They and every wild beast according to its kind, and all the livestock according to their kinds, and every moving thing that creeps on the earth, that creeps on the land according to its kind, and every fowl according to its kind, and every winged thing of every sort. And they went into the ark with Noah, 2 and 2 of all flesh, in which there were breath and spirit of life. And they that entered, male and female, all flesh, went in and God as God commanded. And the Lord shut him in and closed the door around him. The flood was 40 days on the earth, and the waters increased and bore the ark, and it was lifted high above the land. And the waters became mighty and increased greatly upon the land. And the ark went gently floating upon the surface of the waters. Heavy on the gently. This man is in a flood, and this ark is gently floating on the surface of the waters. That means that you could be going through a storm and just be gliding over it. Like some people glided over COVID. Some people glide over a lot of hard things. Wow, that was good. I like that. And the waters prevailed so exceedingly, and they were so mighty upon the earth that all the high hills under the whole sky were covered. In fact, the waters became 15 cubits higher, and the high hills were covered. And all flesh ceased to breathe that moved upon the earth, fowls and birds, tame animals, wild beasts, swarming, creeping things, all things that swarmed and creeped upon the land, and all mankind. Everything on dry land, in whose nostrils were breath and spirit of life, died. God destroyed or blotted out every living thing that was upon the face of the earth. Man and animals and creeping things and the birds of the heavens were destroyed from the land. Only Noah remained alive, and those who were with him in the ark. And the waters prevailed mightily upon the earth or land for 150 days, which is 5 months. My biggest takeaway, honestly, is what I just said about how is the water 15 cubits higher than the tops of the hills, and the waters are mighty, but the ark was gently floating on the surface of the water. That is called God's grace and protection. Like it says also that the Lord shut him in and closed the doors all around him. Like sometimes it can feel like we're shut in or like just surrounded by something. And I feel like that can be real lonely, but at the same time, that could be God's protection. That's really what I'm getting from that. Is like being shut in and the doors closed around you can be protection. So what did I learn today? What was in chapter 6? Chapter 6. Oh, we started at chapter 5. Chapter 5 is a genealogy from Adam to Noah. Then we have the Lord being upset with the world because of the violence and the lust of power and all the craziness, just like our world. But Noah finding favor in the Lord's eyes. God explaining to Noah when to or how to build the ark. How old was Noah when he first told him that? It's not really saying it, but I do know that it's a long time between when he started building the ark and when the flood came. And then chapter 7, we have the Lord explaining when the flood is going to come and them getting into the ark. Okay, that's what we did. So we did chapters 5, 6, and 7 today. And I hope to be back tomorrow to read the word. I'm trying to get back into reading my Bible. And this isn't, like, at first I wanted this to be like a teaching thing, but literally, who am I? And every time you read the Bible, you can come across something differently. So honestly, I just want to show people that reading the Bible is cool. And I don't know, that is just cool. It's cool to do. It's cool to read the word. It's good to know the word. So yeah, that's the purpose for this, to be real laid back, read the word, study the word a little bit, try to figure out, what's going on. I like to read the Bible as a book. Just see how stuff connects. So if anybody watches this, I hope y'all come back and watch another video. But if not, I'll see me tomorrow. See ya.